Where should we turn next in this complex topic to unravel the mysteries surrounding different aspects of ufology and its interaction with mankind? Before deciding, it may be beneficial to examine Egyptology, particularly the many beautifully made paintings and statues depicting strange creatures, sometimes with animal bodies and human heads, and vice versa. For example, some people claim that paintings and statues of people with hawk-like heads depict bird-like aliens. To support their claims, they point to these depictions as proof. Similarly, people claim to be in contact with aliens that have human bodies and cat-like heads, the opposite of a sphinx. We hope you understand from what we have written earlier that this is make-believe. True aliens live in the subdimensions of the astral realms. Even if they created PLFs, it is doubtful they would bother creating Birdman or Catman when they already have an adequate range of PLFs, the blueprints of which were created long ago and serve their needs adequately. No one, not even aliens, wastes energy, except perhaps man incarnate. Anyone in the astral realms would be aware of the vast amount of psychic, auric energy that would go into creating a PLF. Unless strictly necessary, an alien would not waste that energy. So is it possible to examine the depictions of strange creatures found in or near ancient pharaonic structures and decipher what they depict in any connection to ufology? We will say straight away that aliens, or rather the PLFs, have been visiting Earth since man developed sufficient awareness and curiosity to explore. This goes back an extremely long time. Man has come and gone many times over Earth's long history. Aliens, as unused personality aspects and as life has always followed the same pattern, have had a long-standing interest in Earth. This latest civilization is fairly recent. We won't mention dates to avoid controversy, but we assure you that man's history and alien visitations date far back. What can we say about Egypt? We mentioned the construction of the pyramids and that they were planned by a group of aliens we called the Builder race. We will discuss this race and how they communicated later. Thus, we know aliens were in contact with Earth about 15,000 years ago, around the time the main pyramids of Giza and other parts of the world were constructed. However, none of the pharaonic sites date back that far, so all depictions of strange beings are much younger. Where did the idea of these creatures come from? Creating paintings and statues of creatures with mixed features takes skill and energy. Logic dictates that the Egyptians had good reasons to make them. The simple truth is that all this has nothing to do with aliens. Egyptians developed an extensive priest caste and rulers, pharaohs. To be a pharaoh gave one godlike status. Priests were instructed to create ways to depict the pharaoh's godlike status in art. We must also mention hallucinatory drugs in relation to this art. The Egyptians developed a range of drugs, some used as medicine, such as marijuana, which grew easily in the Egyptian climate. Much of the narcotics we know today were available, and people used them freely. There was also a form of ayahuasca, a drug that creates illusions, leading the user to imagine strange creatures. The priests and artists took various drugs and visualized strange beings which seemed real, leading them to believe they were in touch with gods. The pharaoh wanted statues and paintings depicting his godlike status, and under the influence of hallucinogenic drugs, priests and artists visualized strange creatures that became artwork still used today to create the myth of alien creatures. These images result from egocentric pharaohs, priests and artists using drugs to create imaginative images which they persuaded the pharaoh represented his spiritual godlike status despite his physical appearance after years of indulgence. History has left us remarkable artwork, so we should be grateful for the system that allowed skilled artists to create these images. However, we should not confuse what we see in the art with any factual events. The artwork is allegorical. Having covered that, we return to the aliens. Perhaps we could first discuss how aliens seem to contact each other. We mentioned the Builder race, so it may be appropriate to combine communication methods with what the Builder race decided to do. The answer to how aliens contact each other is simple telepathy. Non-physical beings cannot use sound waves to communicate, as air as we know it does not exist in the astral realms. Thus, all non-physical entities communicate telepathically or through thought. We are reluctant to delve into a long explanation of how thought transference works, but please accept that telepathy is thought transference. We mentioned earlier that each person lives in isolation, and collective consciousness gives the impression of being surrounded by others. These personality bundles which wander about are no different from us, they are us. So they can use imagination to pretend they are in contact with other life-form personality bundles, and using telepathy can communicate under certain circumstances. We will briefly touch on the builder race because what applies to them applies to all personality bundles, regardless of whether they decide to become aliens. We wish to emphasize that everything that applies to you applies to your 7 unused personality aspects. The difference is that the part of you that thinks you are physical is connected to your ID and imagination, while the other 7 aspects are not programmed in this way. The personality bundle you use while incarnate is not quite the same as the bundles associated with the other 7 yous. Your basic nature, a good person or less good, will be present in all 8 personality traits, but there will be variations based on how the 8 different yous decide to explore life. We apologize for wandering into unrelated topics, but it is necessary to understand how life works, whether physical or alien, to fully comprehend aliens. We could have simply said that aliens are aspects of you, but that wouldn't have been helpful. Life is more complex than what we have stated, and we will explain more in future books. We have deliberately given you a simplified version so far. To understand aliens, it's sufficient to know that the 7 unused versions of you can think and act independently, and some of these aspects might interact with life on Earth, which we term aliens. Regarding the builder race, all personality bundles can contact and visualize other bundles using higher self and imagination, similar to how you can contact and visualize other people on Earth, allowing them to work together. Just like incarnate people, these aliens have different interests. They do not think the same way, except for the Greys, whom we will discuss later, as they don't quite fit the general picture of aliens. The builder race, formed to solve the problem of navigating the physical galaxy, required a navigation device, and like-minded aliens formed a group to construct navigation beacons. You may be tired of us talking about personality bundles rather than aliens, but let us begin to examine the little bug-eyed beings known as aliens, which are not aliens but programmed life forms, PLFs, greys, robots, etc. We repeat that the true greys are a different species, but most PLFs, regardless of who makes them, look similar and are often lumped together and called greys. It must be obvious that humans are in 2 parts, the spiritual or non-physical part and the physical part, the body. Your body is not actually alive, it is the non-physical part that animates and directs it. We have explained this in various books, but if we simplify, there are 2 aspects. The spirit controlling a physical robot, your body. The personality aspects that interact with Earth need something similar, as they, the so-called aliens, cannot appear directly on the surface, just as your spirit cannot. They created a physical form based on our body, but with less intelligence and autonomy, enough to follow simple orders telepathically. The human body follows orders from the spirit using a form of telepathy, which is why telepathy can be learned by humans. There is a constant stream of telepathic commands from the spirit to the body. The alien personality aspect that becomes an alien simply copies what already existed. These PLFs, robots, have programmed skills, walking, following orders, changing frequency to become invisible in certain cases, and transmitting impressions back to the alien using telepathy. Their intelligence is limited, similar to an IQ of about 80, which would be considered almost imbecilic in a human. The point is that they have just enough intelligence to obey commands, but not to think independently. PLFs are given just enough intelligence to obey orders and nothing more. Dogs are similar in that they subjugate their desires to their master's will, requiring intelligence. We respect and love dogs, man's faithful friend. We mention dogs because sheepdogs herding a flock of sheep operate similarly. The shepherd issues commands and the dogs follow, ensuring the sheep end up in the pen. With PLFs, it's similar. During an abduction, the spacecraft appears, the sheep pen, and the PLFs are told to abduct a human into the craft. The PLFs constantly receive orders and follow them, similar to sheepdogs. Now, let us try to understand how a PLF is made. Aliens created a plan for the little creatures based on the human form: head, body, arms, legs, eyes, and a brain. The brain receives telepathic commands and controls the motor functions of the PLF. The eyes are cameras sending images back to the alien. PLFs appear to have no ears because the alien master can pick up telepathic thoughts from any human interacting with the PLF and anticipate resistance. PLFs do not have extreme telepathic skills. The alien in the astral realms links telepathically with the human's astral form. Humans have bodies made of flesh and blood, but this was not always the case. Everything is actually astral matter, vibrating at different frequencies. Physicality is an illusion created by archangels. Aliens did something similar with PLFs. They took astral matter, molded it around the form they'd created, altered the frequency, and created a PLF, a programmed life form. 2 points about PLFs' autopsies reveal vegetable matter within them, possibly dating back to the archangels' experiment with plant-based animals. Second, PLFs are created only while the spacecraft is in three-dimensional reality. In the astral realm, PLFs are just a concept. When the UFO enters three-dimensional reality, the PLFs appear solid but disappear when they return to the astral realms. The power source of a PLF allows it to operate in three-dimensional reality. In the astral realm, it exists only as a concept. When the UFO appears in our reality, the physical body is put on the astral form and a PLF appears solid. The energy that fuels them comes directly from the cosmos. Humans rely on food for energy, but PLFs extract energy directly from the cosmos. The mechanism is unclear, but PLFs do not eat or excrete like humans. They are powered like machines. PLFs are mindless, neutral machines with no independent thought or decision-making ability. They obey orders. If a PLF encountered a human, it would not harm them independently. Alien abductions are rare and rely on fear. PLFs have almost no ability to act independently, similar to a washing machine. If faced with an abduction scenario, resist fear and remember that you have control. In conclusion, PLFs are simple machines, and alien abductions rely on fear. Most PLFs have no weapons or physical strength and are easily overpowered. The alien personality bundles have limited ability to influence a person, similar to a shepherd's control over sheep. Alien abductions are similar to a shepherd pushing sheep into a pen. The power of PLFs over humans is an illusion based on fear. If you find yourself in an abduction scenario, do not give in to fear. Realize that PLFs have almost no ability to act independently and you can resist them. Abductions are rare, but if it happens, remember you are in control and you will be left alone unless you want to be abducted. Some people want to feel special and may go along with an abduction to write a book or give lectures about their experience. However, the UFO community should be skeptical of the growing number of abduction claims. Before closing this chapter and moving on to another aspect of ufology, we should mention the little PLFs depicted as grey with wraparound eyes. These eyes are filters placed over the cameras that serve as their eyes, similar to how humans wear sunglasses to protect their eyes from bright sunlight. PLFs have a similar system to humans, and their skin color varies depending on the material used to create it. While we haven't covered all aspects of aliens and PLFs, this overview provides a foundation for understanding. Next, we will discuss UFOs